On 16th of April, a special session of the Parliament has convened to discuss about the new proposed 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill as well as the Delimitation Bill that has been proposed by the government. And when it comes to the 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill that aims to increase the total size of the Lok Sabha seats from the current 543 to the maximum strength that would be there, it will be 850. Alright, when it comes to the number of the seats that will be for the states, that will be 815, and out of these 850, 35 seats will be for the Union Territory. Prime Minister Modi, he has addressed the Lok Sabha while discussing about the bill that has been proposed. At the same time, over here, I have read a news report that has been published in the Indian Express, and that particular news says that when it comes to the share of the seats of the states, that is the southern states, that will not be altered. And there is another method through which the government plans to keep the share of the southern states intact. So we will talk about that in this particular session and we'll know that what the actual matter is at the hand is. Right now, when it comes to our Indian democracy, so we are going through a double bottlenecks. The first bottleneck is that the seats of the Lok Sabha had been freezed up to 2026, and this was on the basis of 1971 census. When it comes to the delimitation, so there is the provision of the delimitation exercise that is in the constitution. However, the southern states, they fared much better when it came to the family planning, and when it came to the delimitation, there were the fears in the southern states that their share in the seats that will get reduced, and therefore the freeze of the seats was introduced by 42nd Amendment Act to the Constitution, and it has freezed the seats of the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies up to 2000. There was another constitutional amendment that was brought in, that is 84th Constitutional Amendment Act, and that increased this freeze up to 2026. So that the states who have done better in the Human Development Index, that is the southern states who have reached the replacement ratio when it comes to the fertility, they should not get penalized. And that is one of the major reasons why the southern states, they are fearing that when it comes to the delimitation, that will have impact on their share of the proportion of the seats that they have in the Lok Sabha. So population have surged unevenly when it comes to from the 1971 census. At the same time, the ratio of the citizens to the members of parliaments, it has become distorted too. So therefore, when it comes to the number of the seats that are there in the Lok Sabha, they have to be increased as per the proportion of the population that have increased in our country. At the same time, there is another bottleneck that is there in the Indian democracy, and that is the delayed, we had passed the 106th Constitutional Amendment Act that has granted the women the 33% reservation in the Lok Sabha as well as in the state legislative assembly. However, this reservation, it was linked to the census that will be conducted after 2026. And that is the major reason why the government has brought 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill, so that it may be delinked from the next census and we can use the 2011 data to conduct this delimitation, and ultimately the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam or the 33% reservation that has been planned for the women, that could be given to them just before the 2029 general elections that would be held for the Lok Sabha. So these are the two or the dual bottlenecks that we have in our Indian democracy. The 131st Amendment Bill had been brought in the Parliament and it has been introduced in the Parliament on 16th of April 2026. This is a landmark legislature where overall designed to reshape the electoral boundaries as well as the demographic reality of the Indian Parliament, where there will be delimitation as well as there would be increased number of the seats of the Lok Sabha as well. At the same time, when it comes to the complete 131st Amendment Bill of the Constitution, it decouples the 33% women reservation from the post-2026 delay. So now the need to the election, the census that is being conducted for the 2027, that won't be needed for granting this 33% reservation to the women in the parliament. And there will be immediate implementation of the 106th Constitutional Amendment Bill. At the same time, it expands the Lok Sabha constitutional limit from 550, that is the maximum strength of the Lok Sabha right now, to 850. That will be the maximum strength of the Lok Sabha after the passage of this bill. And this complete delimitation or immediate delimitation will be conducted on the basis of 2011 data of the census that we have. So this is how there would be a complete scaling of the House of the People, where we have currently 543 members. It will increase to 850 members. That will be the maximum strength. There will be total 815 seats that will be allocated to the states, with 35 seats that will be gone or that will be allocated to the union territories. Out of this, 283 minimum seats instantly will be carved out and they will be reserved for women. That is, they will be provided with 1/3 of the reservation benefit, that is through the 106th Constitutional Amendment Act of the Constitution. Now, there is in this report in the Indian Express, it has been stated that there would be a schedule that will be introduced along with the Act. Now, what this schedule is? This schedule will provide the pro-rata basis of the representation of the different seats which are there. The thing that had been promised by BJP government as well as the leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, various leaders, they have said that the southern states, they do not have anything to fear about. That is what this complete report says, that there would be a schedule that would be included along with the bill, and instead of redistributing power, that is based on pure population volume, the bill will distribute the new seats on the stick, pro-rata basis. Over here, what will happen is that every state will receive approximate, not equal to, approximate 50% increase in their absolute number of the Lok Sabha seats, and the percentage share of each state in the Lok Sabha's total strength, it will remain exactly the same that is it has today. At the same time, interstate balance is frozen and only intrastate constituency boundaries will be drawn. That is, there will be no change in the proportional representation that each state have in the Lok Sabha. The proportion of the seats will remain same. Just like for the example, this article says that for Tamil Nadu, when it comes to the Tamil Nadu right now have 39 seats in the Lok Sabha. That is approximately 7.2% of the 543 seats. So in the new arrangement, there would be 58 seats. That is nearly about 50% of the increase in the seats. And out of this 58 seats, 7.2% again, it will be for the Tamil Nadu. So 59 seats will be there for Tamil Nadu, and that will be on the pro-rata basis. That is the share of the seats that it has in the Lok Sabha. Currently, it will be preserved, and the share of the seats, the percentage share of the seats that it has in the Lok Sabha, it will not be touched upon. So that is what this complete thing that details about. Now, when it comes to the 106th Amendment Act, it has established 33% of the women's quota in the Lok Sabha as well as for the state legislative assemblies, and it has linked it to the first census that will be conducted after 2026. The future uncompleted census is the baseline. All right, the future uncompleted census that would be completed after 2026, that was taken as the the delimitation basis, after which the delimitation exercise could have been completed according to 106th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2023. So the quota implementation, it would have delayed until the 2030s, and their Lok Sabha strength, it was kept unchanged at 543 according to 106th Constitutional Amendment Act. But now this bill, the 131st Amendment Bill that has been brought by the government, it expands the Lok Sabha and also it expedites the quota. There is immediate providing of the limitation. The delimitation will be done immediately, overriding the 2026 freeze, and this will be on the basis of 2011 census data. There will be immediate implementation of the 106th Amendment Act, or the reservation that has been provided to the women in the political sphere, and it will precede the next general election, that is before 2029. This reservation will be granted based on the basis of the delimitation exercise, and the total Lok Sabha seats will be expanded to 850. Now, when it comes to the Delimitation Commission, so Delimitation Commission is headed by the retired or serving judge of the Supreme Court. Along with him, there are chief election commissioners. Along with chief election commissioner, there is state election commissioners as well, who are the members of the Delimitation Commission. Along with this, there is state level integration as well, where we have the 10 associate members which are per state. Out of these 10 members, there are 5 members of parliaments and 5 members of legislative assemblies, but they only provide with the localized input. They do not have any kind of voting rights. At the same time, the orders which are issued by the Delimitation Commission once, they are published in the Gazette, they carry the force of the law. The force of the law, and they cannot be challenged in any court of justice. That is what Delimitation Commission is all about. Now, when it comes to the Lok Sabha arithmetic, arithmetic. So over here, right now, the passage of the bill is very important, because for passing this bill, 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill, there is 2/3 of the majority that is required. Right now in the Lok Sabha, the total strength of the BJP is 240, and the NDA bloc, it has the total strength of 293. So there is a gap. There is a gap when it comes to the 2/3 of the voting. So it is short by approximately 67 votes, and it requires cross-asal support from the non-NDA blocks. That is what is required to pass this bill from the Lok Sabha. At the same time, this bill will also require 2/3 of the majority of the person who are, or the members of the parliament who are present and voting. That should be more than 50% of the total membership of the House. And in Rajya Sabha, right now, NDA strength is just about 145. And again, over here, they are again in the Rajya Sabha short of approximately 18 votes, and they require strategic alliances with the unaligned or the opposition parties. And then only this bill could be passed from the Rajya Sabha as well as from the Lok Sabha. Now, the real challenge in front of India right now, or when it comes to granting of the reservation to the women, it is not simply to add seats, but to redesign the representation that is without eroding the trust between the regions, between the genders, and between the institutions. So that would be all in today's session and this video. But at the same time, if you are preparing for the civil services or UPSC for 2027 or 2028, so we have these batches in which you can enroll. Now, these batches, for the maximum discount, you can use the code that is BRS Live, and through this code, you will get the maximum discount that will be there on these courses. So that would be all in this video. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me over here. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind. But do not forget to like, share, as well as subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss any future updates. Thank you. Bye-bye and Jai Hind.